This is the Bucks POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Milwaukee Bucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
The third straight loss for our Milwaukee Bucks, now losers of 6 of their last 7. No Giannis in this one. No answer for our Bucks as they fall to the Philadelphia 76ers on the road, 139-122. Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Locked On Bucks postcast. My name is Brandon Sneidel. Join me alongside the Wisconsin Badger legend himself, Mr. Brian Butch. As always, thanks for making Locked On Bucks part of your day. Friendly reminder, wherever you guys get audio podcasts, you can get Locked On Bucks postcasts as well. Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon. We're also live over on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Get notified when we go live talking about our Milwaukee Bucks, and that is what we are doing this evening, a 139-122 loss. Butchie, this one, again, I feel like we're kind of beating the dead horse here because it was interesting because I thought the Bucks in this one came out with a little bit of a fight, a little bit of energy, moving the ball well. No Giannis in this one with the calf injury. No Kevin Porter Jr. He's also out with the oblique injury. We saw Kyle Kuzma later in the game also exit with an ankle injury. So the injuries adding up for the Milwaukee Bucks. But I thought it was a solid start for the Bucks without Giannis in this one. And again, overcoming what was a very strong Joel Embiid start for the 76ers in the first quarter. 18 points, 7 rebounds from Joel Embiid in the first quarter. But I thought the Bucks kind of held their own really in the first half, and then it kind of fell apart slowly in that third quarter on into the fourth quarter. Your initial reactions, Butchie, on a 139-122 loss?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think when you look at what this team did, they had it tied up 81-81 going into the third. Then it was a 7-0 run. The second quarter, the Sixers had a 10-0 run at one point. But the Bucks were able to find their way back into it. You look at Miles Turner and what he was able to do. 31 points, really brought a lot of great energy. Defensively, they didn't rebound the ball great. I thought there were some errors there. But you look at this is what you're going to have to get. You got 17 from Kyle Kuzma. You got 17 from Portis, 31 from Miles. Ryan gave you 24. You're going to need that. The problem is defensively, and you're going up against a guy in Paul George that just got extremely hot. I mean, Paul George gives you 32. His career or season high, I think, was 35. So when you give up 32 to a Paul George whose season high was 35, you're going to have to try to find a different way. And I think that was the biggest thing that I look at with this group is, all right, things are against you. So you need to really try to find ways to tap into something special every night. I thought Miles Turner was that something special for a little bit. It just wasn't long enough.
Yeah, season high for Miles Turner, a career high in a Milwaukee Bucks uniform, 31 points tonight for Miles Turner. Really, it was kind of the tale of two different halves for the Milwaukee Bucks. In the first half, Butchie, I mentioned Joel Embiid in the first quarter, absolutely on fire. But you went into that second quarter, if you're the Bucks, down 6, and Joel played that whole first quarter, and you're thinking, okay, they were down 8, 42 to 34, if I can do the math correctly. So they were down 8 going in to the second quarter. You're like, okay, I think if we can kind of weather this storm a little bit and get in to the Joel Embiid less minutes for the Philadelphia 76ers, the problem is going into that second quarter, the Bucks got it within 2 without Joel Embiid on the floor. And then it was offensive rebound after offensive rebound after offensive rebound for the Philadelphia 76ers. A thorn in the Bucks side all season long has been rebounding the basketball. 15 total offensive rebounds today for the Philadelphia 76ers. 19 second chance points in that second quarter. And that was the thing for the Milwaukee Bucks, because I think, Butch, if you go into half and if you told me as a Bucks fan that they would have 62 points at halftime without Giannis on the road and be down by double digits, I may not believe you. I think they actually ended down 9 going into half, but it was close going into that halftime being down by double digits. And I think that was the difference. You couldn't capitalize if you're the Milwaukee Bucks. You could not capitalize on Embiid being off the floor. The lead at one point actually grew with him off the floor. And that, to me, we'll get into the turning point and the player of the game as the show goes on. But to me, that was kind of the difference going into half. And then you go into the third quarter. And again, the Bucks came out strong, I thought. Like they made their run. You know, they moved a little bit into a different defensive format. They ran zone, Butchie, to that third quarter. And that threw off a little bit of the Philly defense. Like they were trying to slow them down a little bit. I know they scored 35 points in that third quarter, and they scored 33 in the fourth quarter. And you're thinking to yourself, how did they slow them down? But it threw off their rhythm, Philadelphia, that is a little bit. So I think that's the thing. But that zone just it wasn't working for the Bucks too long. What went wrong with that zone?
I was going to say not too long, and that's the basketball side of it. As I'm watching, you got the initial shock, is what I like to call it.
Yeah.
Right? Like the initial shock of, okay, we're going to really try to figure this out. We're going to make sure that this is a group where you're going to make teams uncomfortable, and you have to do it a variety of ways. However, there's a reason that you don't see a lot of zones in the NBA, because players are really good and they adjust and they know how to handle a zone. And I thought the two plays that really got me was there was a baseline dunker, which if you know basketball terminology, the baseline dunker is somebody down by the logo. If you look at, you're on the baseline, you've got the block and the block on the, on the court, you're about 4 steps outside of the block, and then 1 step down is the dunker position. So that's an area where you really just sit in that zone. Now, a lot of times you see that even in man-to-man, Brandon, where a guy's driving the baseline, driving from the top, and you've got a guy that's going to stay down there to give great space, because in the help side defender, he's got 2 choices. He's either going to go and try to contest the layup. If that happens, it's a throw up to the rim. The dunker spot guy is the guy that goes and finishes that, but that's where you create the space. So against the zone, I thought the Sixers did a really good job of having that dunker spot filled. You could see the lobs coming. So there was that one play. The next play, because they were so low in the dunker spot, it was just a simple kick to the corner 3. The Sixers drilled the corner 3, and you could see that Bucks whole zone defense just continue to creep up and creep up and creep up. And then when they crept up, when they were able to do that, what does that leave wide open? It leaves the backside wide open. And teams are way too good to try to make, facilitate that and play within that. And that's really what we saw as far as the breakdown of the zone. I did think that initially it gave this, Sixers team a decent shock, though. I thought it worked for a couple possessions.
It did. Yeah, it did.
And that's when you got to adjust, because teams are good, too good. NBA teams are too good. I've watched a lot of college basketball as I do the radio for the Badgers. You can stick in college. You can stick with zones a lot longer than you can in the NBA, because the player's IQ isn't as good in college as it is in the NBA. The reason the Bucks zone crept up was because, did you notice where the Sixers zone offense started? The Sixers zone offense started farther out. And why did the Sixers do that? Because they didn't get a good couple of possessions early on. So now they try to create space with that, Brandon. So how do you create space? We talked about the dunker. We talked about the corner. But you also can create space from the arc. And that's what they did. They spaced out. And you see this during NBA training camps all the time, where they put X's on the floor for spacing. But they're about 5 big steps away from the three-point line is where they want to start. That's where the Sixers ended up working their zone offense after they failed a couple of times. And to me, it was a good coaching, 2, good recognition by the 76ers as far as offensive flow, how to handle that zone.
Bucks lose their 3rd straight game. Another frustrating point in this game. We mentioned the Kyle Kuzma injury that it looked like an ankle injury, hobbled to the tunnel into the locker room late in that 4th quarter. I don't really have an update as we're live immediately after the Bucks 139-122 loss.
Self-diagnose himself. That's all I want.
Well, Giannis he was pretty accurate. We just don't have a timetable on Giannis,
right.
But it is a calf strain for Giannis. And I'm guessing it'll be on the other side of the All-Star break before we see number
I
34.
don't know if we'll see him again, Brandon. I'm going to be completely honest.
That's very, 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 very possible. And that's kind of been the word lately around NBA circles. I will say this, speaking on this game specifically, Butchie, another frustrating part for this one is if you had told me that the Milwaukee Bucks would almost double the Philadelphia 76ers at the free throw line, I wouldn't believe you. With Joel Embiid playing in this game, I would simply not believe you. The Bucks got to the line 27 times and missed 8 of them. And we'll get into the turning point because it includes a couple of free throws missed for me at least. But Philadelphia 11 of 15 on the other side. Like, that's second chance points, rebounding the basketball. Stop giving up those easy buckets when you're in that zone, as you mentioned, and make your freaking free throws. And this is probably, maybe they don't win. I think every Bucks fan knows the direction that we're heading towards right now, right? You're now 18 and 27 on the season. You're 9 and 15 away from Fiserv Forum. You have a losing record at home. You don't have Giannis. You don't have Kevin Porter Jr. But like when it comes to this specific game, rebound the basketball, make your free throws, don't create stupid turnovers, and you have a chance potentially to win this game, because at one point it was a close game. Like, the Bucks had this game tied. They never had the lead. 76ers technically win wire to wire, but it's the little things that escape this basketball team that separates them from being in the play-in tournament right now, which they're not, and on the outside looking in.
Yeah, no, I mean, I understand and I agree with that. I think the turnover side of it, that's kind of been all year long.
It has.
So I mean, that's the issue. That's not going to change. Of the things that I saw, though, Brandon, I thought ball movement was better as I look here. I mean, ball movement much better. Like, big check. And how do you know ball? Even if you're not a basketball person, how do you know the ball movement is better? You look at Miles Turner, how involved he was. As a big, you need ball movement to get involved in offenses. That's just the reality of it. The days of the throw the ball in the low post and let Shaq back you down, as far as basketball goes, those days are gone. So you really can tell that the ball is popping as if your bigs are involved. Miles Turner was involved. He takes 16 shot attempts, and obviously the 16 shot attempts, he got himself going. So of course there's going to be 16
early too. He got it going early too.
But right away that ball was moving. I saw that there was a lot better there that I really enjoyed. And I thought, okay, maybe there's some building blocks here. So I thought that was kind of one thing as far as the game that I take away from.
The Milwaukee Bucks falling to the Philadelphia 76ers 139-122. When did this one turn against Milwaukee? And our player of the game coming up right after this. Tonight's Locked On Bucks postcast is brought to you by Quo. New year, new system. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think this has to be a better way, and there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O, the smarter way to run your business communications, because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating all in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with your customers. It works right from your phone or computer, and you can keep your existing number. And their smart AI tools automatically log calls, summarize conversations, and highlight next steps so details never slip through the cracks. It's no surprise Quo is the #1 rated phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. Once again, that's QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo, no missed calls, no missed opportunities. Tonight's Locked On Bucks postcast also brought to you by our friends at TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand off things and move on about your day. With TurboTax full service, you have your taxes done by you, for you, by a trusted local tax expert, start to finish, without the stress or the guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every single deduction. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150, all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to life. Visit TurboTax.com/loco to book your appointment today.
I carry a lot of responsibility in my household. If something happened to me, there would be serious consequences. We have a mortgage, we got tuition, we got everyday bills. Those aren't going anywhere if something happens to me. And I know that's an overwhelming feeling, but I'm taking steps to protect my family by getting life insurance through Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast, easy, and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. And as of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Ethos has 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 3,000 reviews. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LocdownNBA. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get your free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LocdownNBA. That's ethos.com/LocdownNBA. Ethos.com/LocdownNBA. Application times and rates may vary.
The Milwaukee Bucks falling to the Philadelphia 76ers on the road, 139-122, now 18-27 on the season. Without further ado, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into our turning point in the Bucks' loss.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
But yeah, I'll let you lead us off this evening in a 139-122 loss where, other than the beginning of the game, where a lot of Bucks fans probably feel this game was already lost, Butchie, where did you think this game turned against Milwaukee?
No, I thought it was tied 81-81, and it's 76ers go on a 7-0 run there, or 7-1 run. And to me, it wasn't necessarily the run, but it was how the buckets happened during the run. You look at Oubre with a layup.
Yep.
Right? Oubre a dunk. Then you give a corner three. Then you give another Maxey driving layup. So you're talking right there, 7 points there. The 9th point is kind of one that separates you a little bit. But to me, that stretch where you go 81-81, Maxey's three or finger roll layup that he had goes 90-84. Like that stretch right there, because you're talking 6 points off of layups and a wide open three. To me, that's about as simple as you can get as far as where that's lost. It broke the Bucks' defensive backs.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit earlier, and for me, it goes into the third quarter. It was an interesting third quarter. Again, the Bucks come out. Yes. We talked about the zone that they had. Turner, hitting his career high in a Milwaukee Bucks uniform, and the Bucks had it tied in that third quarter, and then it kind of started to slip away. They find themselves down 10 late in that third quarter. I believe there was under 30 seconds left. Gary Trent Jr. was fouled on a 3-point attempt, meaning he was getting 3 free throws. In my head, I'm sitting here thinking before he heads to the line, I'm like, if the Bucks can cut this is the optimistic fan me, Butchie. If they can cut it within 7 and they can keep it within single digits and he can go into the fourth quarter, maybe with a little bit of momentum, maybe a little bit of a positive vibe. I'm looking for anything. If you can't tell.
4 it was, yep.
But then he goes to the line and he misses Gary Trent Jr. That is 2 of the 3 free throws, one of those coming off of the rim and going right down the other side for a Tyrese Maxey, I believe it was a layup or a dunk, a 4-point swing. So what you thought it could be a 7-point deficit going into the final quarter. Keep in mind, the last time we watched this Bucks team, they didn't play Sunday because of the weather. They were down 23 entering the fourth quarter, and they turned that into a 2-point loss. So they turned it on in that fourth quarter. In my head, I'm thinking, okay, if you can go down 7, there's a little bit of a chance, right? Like George Paul, we'll talk about him, going on a heater and whatnot, and Joel Embiid as well. But I'm thinking, okay, like maybe there's something here. But then He misses those 2 out of those 3 free throws. Maxey makes that layup or that dunk, and that makes it an 11-point game. And then at that moment, before we knew that Paul George would start the fourth quarter on a heater, that was probably going to be too much for the Bucks to overcome, obviously, with no Giannis in this one. And I understand a lot of Bucks fans, didn't give this team a chance at tip-off, and a lot of Bucks fans are already throwing in the towel on the season. I respect it. I get it. But I felt like this team, a lot of negativity surrounding this team, Butchie, but I thought the way that they came out in the first quarter, the third quarter, the fight that they shown throughout this game on the road, like it wasn't pretty. The final score, 139-122 is not great. But there were moments in this game. You mentioned it. The game was tied at one point. Like there were moments in the game where the Bucks could seize it, but they just couldn't get over that hump. And obviously with no Giannis, they're fighting an uphill battle as they lose 139-122. Before we get out of here, though, Butcher, we got to hand it out. A player of the game on the Locked On Bucks postcast.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
I'm going to go first, if you don't mind, Butchie, in this one. And I'm going to go, yes, I could look at Paul George. I could look at Joel Embiid for the Philadelphia 76ers, 32 points from Paul George, 29 from Joel Embiid. He had 18 of those in the first quarter. Paul George turned it on late in this one for the Philadelphia 76ers in that fourth quarter, hitting a bunch of threes. I'm going to go Miles Turner. And I think he got my last one, if I'm not mistaken, on Friday. And I don't think it's a coincidence that you're seeing a different Miles Turner without Giannis on the court. It seems like he's playing a little bit more free. He obviously has the 31 points, a season high, career high in a Milwaukee Bucks uniform. Again, I thought, there's a lot of negativity you can look at with this Bucks team. You can look at, the 16-point loss, or 17-point loss tonight for the Bucks. But I'm going to stay positive, try to stay positive, and look at Miles Turner with 31 points tonight for Milwaukee. He gets the honors for me.
Yeah, and I'm going to jump on that a little bit. I'll give you someone else. I think Ryan Rollins just continues to get better and better. And so if you took Miles, I'll jump on Ryan Rollins. I think when I looked at the formula of what needed to happen, the Bucks needed to shoot 40% from three. That was kind of one of those things. They shot 44%. I thought Ryan Rollins breaking down the defense, they needed to do that. And they kind of, Ryan Rollins did that at times. Turner needed to protect that paint. Didn't second chance points were pretty rough there. And then the Bucks needed to limit the turnovers. They didn't do that. So when you look at kind of my formula of what needed to happen, 2 of the 4 happened. They shot well. And then Ryan Rollins, and that's why he's my player of the game, just because I thought he did what he needed to do. He was one of my keys to if they were going to find a way to get this win. And, just it wasn't enough on those other 2 things as far as, protecting that paint, limiting second chance opportunities. Then obviously we talked, in depth about it, but limited those turnovers. They didn't do that. So
the Milwaukee Bucks falling 139-122, 18-27 on the season, 9-15 on the road. And speaking of the road, next up, the Washington Wizards on Wednesday. And we'll be here chatting about it. Hopefully the Bucks can get it turned around and break this 3-game losing streak. That's
Thursday, not Wednesday, Thursday night.
Did I say what? You're correct. Thursday. My days are all the Sunday game.
So I'm going through this thing.
Yeah, correction.
Wednesday night. I know it's not a Bucks game. So
that's right. The Sunday game that got canceled for the Bucks kind of threw me off with my days a little bit. You're correct. It's Washington on Thursday. Next up for our Milwaukee Bucks. Thanks to each of you for tuning in tonight to the Locked On Bucks postcast. Friendly reminder, the Locked On Bucks postcast, free and available wherever you guys get audio podcasts, as well as the Daily Show with Camille and Justin. You guys make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're over here on YouTube. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Get notified when we go live. Thanks to each and every one of you guys for tuning in. Thank you for making Locked On Bucks part of your day each and every single day. It's tough right now. I get it. Their 3rd straight loss. But as always, win, lose, or draw, stay locked on Bucks.